From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story for today. The Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration must comply with a district court order and release nearly $2 billion in foreign assistance. This was the order of Judge Amir Ali of the Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., which the Trump administration was appealing to. The frozen funds of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, were for payments to contractors for already completed work. Amir Ali is the first Muslim American federal judge on the district court bench in the U.S. Capitol. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined the court's three liberals in rejecting the administration's request to freeze the payments. A national boycott last week against retailers who reversed course on their diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI policy, hit national retailer Target the hardest. The People's Union USA economic blackout on February 28th was launched to send a message to retailers who have reversed course on their DEI policies. Atlanta megachurch pastor Jamal Bryant, who initiated the shopping ban, called for others to divest from the chain. He told CNN this is because the company had, quote, turned its back on our community. According to Forbes, the mega retailer experienced a 9% drop in web traffic on the day of the boycott. Costco, however, was rewarded for sticking by its DEI policies. It saw a 22% rise in web traffic on February the 28th. Target's decision has been in response to the Trump administration's threat to investigate what it calls, quote, illegal DEI, including potential criminal cases against companies. In January, President Donald Trump rescinded a nearly 60-year-old executive order that prohibited government contractors from discriminating in their hiring, firing, promotion, or pay practices. Along with Trump's order, the reversal of DEI policies has been in response to a number of conservative court decisions, as well as with long-standing pressure from activists and right-wing legal groups. President Donald Trump claimed he brought back free speech in America just hours after threatening schools for allowing protests. His administration has targeted student protesters with executive orders threatening to deport those involved in Free-Palestine demonstrations. The Department of Justice is also cracking down on campuses over their handling of the protests. Trump has eliminated diversity and equity programs across federal agencies and aims to defund schools teaching what he calls discriminatory equity ideology. Critics argue his actions contradict free speech values. Tariq Habash, a former Biden administration education staffer, said silencing anti-war students while claiming to champion free speech is hypocritical. He called Trump's measures illegal and a direct attack on academia. In his address to Congress this week, Trump celebrated his making English the official language of the United States, along with renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in two separate executive orders since taking office in January. He also praised the Supreme Court for ending affirmative action and vowed to remove critical race theory from schools. Congressman Al Green was escorted out of the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday after he interrupted President Donald Trump's address to Congress. The Texas Democrat shouted at Trump, accusing him of having no mandate to cut Medicaid. House Speaker Mike Johnson warned him to stop before ordering his removal. Trump faced boos from some lawmakers while others chanted USA as Green was taken out. Green later told reporters he protested Trump's budget, which proposed deep cuts to Medicaid. He said it was worth it to stand against cuts to vital programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Green remained uncertain about whether he would face formal punishment for his outburst. Several House Democrats walked out mid-speech during Trump's address, protesting his leadership. The first to leave included Representatives Jasmine Crockett and Maxwell Frost. Some revealed black T-shirts with bold messages like "No Kings Live Here" and "Resist." Some Democrats held signs reading "Save Medicaid" and "Musk steals" as Trump spoke. President Donald Trump has warned that schools and universities allowing what he called illegal protests will lose federal funding. In a Truth Social post, he vowed to revoke funding and take tough action against demonstrators. He said foreign agitators would be jailed or deported, while American students could face expulsion or arrest. Trump also banned masks during protests, saying "no masks." The move is part of his push against anti-Semitism and aims to curb protests linked to the Free-Palestine movement. He also pledged to revoke visas and deport foreigners supporting Hamas. Critics say that the measures raise legal and free speech concerns. Many civil rights groups and academic institutions have already voiced opposition. Dozens of Free Palestinian demonstrators gathered outside Columbia University to protest former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's visit. Waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans, they condemned Bennett's policies and called for justice for Palestine. The protests coincided with Bennett's speech inside the university. On Sunday, Israel blocked humanitarian aid to Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has refused to negotiate the next phase of a ceasefire with Hamas. Israel has killed over 60,000 Palestinians since October the 7th, 2023. It faces genocide charges at the International Court of Justice. The International Criminal Court has also issued arrest warrants for war crimes against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The bodies of dozens of Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks and buried in a mass grave have been recovered in Bet Lahai, a town in northern Gaza. Civil defense officials said they had recovered the bodies of 30 Palestinians buried near Kamal Adwan Hospital. They expect to recover a total of 40 bodies once the operation is complete. The remains of the Palestinians exhumed from the mass grave will be reburied after identification. Israel has killed over 60,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, and more than 111,000 others in its genocide in Gaza since October 2023. The government media office recently updated its death toll to at least 61,709, saying thousands of Palestinians missing under the rubble are presumed dead. Last November, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. Pakistan arrests and hands over Kabul bomber to US. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum. This is the largest refugee camp in the world. 1 million people are sitting here, doing nothing essentially, cannot study, cannot have a living, and world has to give them, feed them bit by bit, little bit of food. I find children, all skinny children around me, and they are wondering what's our future. Since I came from America, they're asking me this question, what's the future for us? Please, join Burma Task Force. It's a coalition of 38 organizations. Support Burma Task Force, join Justice for All. Let's change the future for 1 million people sitting here in the world's largest refugee camp for 7 years. Join now.
Welcome back. Pakistan has arrested and handed over a top ISIS-K commander to the US. Muhammad Sharifullah is accused of planning the deadly airport bombing in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, in August 2021. It took place during the US evacuation from Afghanistan. The attack killed 13 US service members and 170 Afghans. Sharifullah was captured in Balochistan after multiple failed operations. President Donald Trump announced the arrest in his address to Congress, thanking Pakistan for its cooperation. US officials confirmed Sharifullah was flown to US Tuesday night. FBI agents say he confessed to his role in the bombing and other attacks. He has been charged in federal court in Virginia with providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization, resulting in death. He will face a judge and be assigned a lawyer. Additional charges are possible. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has condemned a violent threat against a mosque in the capital, Sydney. Albanese confirmed on Instagram authorities had warned him about the threat. Calling it abhorrent, he declared, "Racism and Islamophobia have no place in Australia." Albanese assured full support for law enforcement, stressing those responsible must face justice. Authorities are investigating the threat, which comes ahead of the March 15th anniversary of the 2019 Christchurch, New Zealand mosque attacks. In that attack, an Australian white supremacist killed 51 worshippers during Friday prayers. A new study reveals that since 1975, the richest 1% in the US have gained $79 trillion, while the bottom 90% have lost out on these earnings. The research was conducted by the nonpartisan RAND Corporation. It highlights how wages for most workers have stagnated, while the wealthy have seen massive gains. The study estimates that in 2023 alone, workers in the bottom 90% would have earned an additional $3.9 trillion if income growth had been distributed more equally. Senator Bernie Sanders reacted strongly to the findings, calling the shift in wealth morally unjust and dangerous for democracy. He criticized Republican lawmakers for supporting tax cuts that benefit the rich. Sanders warned the tax cuts would be paid for by cutting Medicaid and food assistance. Last week, House Republicans passed a budget resolution advance these cuts, following pressure from President Donald Trump. The plan includes reducing the deficit by $880 billion, with Medicaid among the main targets. The world's largest iceberg, A23A, has grounded near South Georgia, a remote British island in the South Atlantic. Roughly twice the size of Greater London, it's stuck in shallow waters and expected to break apart. The iceberg's presence has raised concern among fishermen who fear navigating through massive ice chunks. Experts warn of significant risks to vessels as drifting icebergs could block fishing routes. However, scientists say that the melting iceberg could bring benefits. As it dissolves, it will release vital nutrients into the ocean, potentially targeting a boom in marine life. A23A originally broke off Antarctica in 1986, but remained stuck in the Weddell Sea for decades. It only recently began drifting northward. Measuring 4,000 square kilometers and 400 meters thick, it now is scraping the seafloor, reshaping the fragile ecosystem of the region. Scientists say this process, though disruptive, is a natural part of the Antarctic cycle. Al-Azhar institution in Cairo, Egypt, is organizing daily Iftar meals during Ramadan for students, building a sense of community and devotion. On March 4th, thousands gathered in the courtyard of the historic Al-Azhar Mosque for a communal iftar. People from different countries broke their fast together in the spirit of unity and faith. Ramadan is a time of reflection, prayer, and charity as Muslims observe a daily fast from dawn to sunset. It includes extra prayers, Quran recitation, and helping those in need. Al-Azhar is renowned for its historic mosque and university and has served as a global center for Islamic learning and scholarship for more than 1,000 years. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We're a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.